Hey guys, I'm Shaquille Radford of our Culture Brewing Company, Vice President of External Affairs.
Hello everyone, I'm Josie Footman-Smith, also part owner of our Culture Brewing Company.
What's up guys, Isaiah Smith, CEO and co-founder of our Culture Brewing Company.
Hi, I'm Isaac Smith, co-founder and brewmeister for our Culture Brewing Company.
How did you all meet?
Well, that's easy. Womb-mate, that's my twin brother. He's 10 minutes older than me. This guy was eventually a roommate, but we met in third grade because they were in the same class together. And this is the love of my life who I met when we used to live in the same neighborhood over by the mattress factory in Grant Park. So I've known Isaac all my life. I've known Shaquille over 20 years, and Josie and I have been married for coming up on 5 years in July. So, squad goals.
This is for Josie.
Isaiah and I met through living in the same neighborhood. We lived in Grant Park and met at Tim Lizzie's 6-7 years ago. Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it a little bit more color on that, because what happened is I was sitting there minding my own business, just enjoying a beer with some friends, and it was a packed house. And a beautiful girl walks in with a bunch of her friends. They asked to get seated. It's a long wait. She's wearing some heels or something like that. So she's coming over to the bar to see if she can get a seat. Well, just so happened, fate had an open seat next to me, and she asked if she could sit, and I was like, yeah, sure, have a seat. She sat down, and I don't know what was going through my mind, but I wasn't even paying attention, and I continued talking to some of my friends who were sitting next to me. And then her friend, whose birthday it was, the most random thing ever in my life. We happened to have on a similar color shirt. So she just ran up to us and was like, yo, you guys would look so cool in a picture together. So we took a picture together, complete strangers. And after that, it kind of prompted a conversation, and we ended up hanging out.
Yep, and we still have that picture.
And we still have that picture.
I haven't seen it.
So, yeah. All right, maybe later.
So how did y'all make this close bond?
Well, I had just moved to Atlanta, so I had moved to Atlanta literally less than a month before.
I told her I'd be her tour guide for the city.
Yeah, so he showed me around a little bit, and we just were hanging tough that whole time. And then a year later, we ended up moving in together.
Where'd you move from?
I'm from New York. I moved here after college to do a program and ended up staying.
So in the midst of all that, how did y'all come up with a brewery company? How did that happen?
Well, that was many moons later. Shaquille, Isaac, and I have always been on the peripheral of the craft beer industry. Even at a younger age, like most college kids, we drank less than excellent quality beer for cheap in copious amounts. And it wasn't until kind of after college, much towards our professional lives, where we just took a class at Hop City, as a matter of fact. Shout out to Sarah. She taught the class, and she made it so approachable and engaging. And after the class, we were like, man, is this all it takes to make beer? How much is the kit? How much is the ingredients? 5 gallons. We bought a kit that day and started brewing, I think later that weekend or later the next weekend. And then we just brewed a beer every month since then. And it got to the point where our beer improved over time, and we graduated from extract to all grain, and really got connected to the passion behind the creativity of it, and found out that a lot of it is ingrained into our history. So that being said, it was just a strong connection to our history, a strong connection to the crafts, the science, and the experimentation and creativity behind brewing that really attracted us to it. And then through practice, we believe, we are confident that we can put a quality product out into the market that nobody's approaching it from the angle that we are right now.
There's also just the love for beer. We were all on craft beer.
Yeah.
We all enjoy drinking it. That's one of the things that brought us together, is that we both enjoy craft beer, and then we all got to hang out and drink really good craft beer together.
True story.
Did y'all meet any people in the industry? And how did our Culture Brewery Company get their name?
That's an excellent question. It's heavy. Let me just start by saying the people in the Atlanta craft brew scene, from a minority perspective, from the entire scene, but especially the minority perspective, is on the cusp of greatness. There's a lot of excellent talent here. There's a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of collaboration and teamwork that's going. And later this year, early next, you're going to see some things coming out of the South that are really, I think, going to put us on the map. So before we dive into that, who wants to take the origin story, I suppose, of our Culture Brewing Company?
Ooh,
I feel like a superhero right now, the origin story.
Yeah. I mean, we can tag team. We can tag team.
Well, we tag team. Let me
Set the
start off.
stage.
We started this company just as 3 childhood friends, and we wanted to find a hobby. And honestly, I tacked on to this personally just because it's something we could do as a family, And eventually we got better and better, and it started to grow. And then my brother got the idea that we should share this feeling and this idea with the world. That was the start of the spark for the company. The name was so complicated because we wanted to try to find something that would encapsulate us as African Americans and as highly educated people. And it was so easy for us just to kind of shoot off the hip and just choose some random ass name and just kind of not give a care about it. But we spent months deliberating and talking and trying to brainstorming what could capture all of us as people individually. We are very different people, despite us being twins.
Well, I mean, to Isaac's point, it was really about trying to find a way to manifest this feeling that we wanted to represent. You can't say it any other way than our culture. Our culture is not a monolith. It's not defined by hip hop or athletics or just these singular things, right? Our culture is broad. Our culture is deep. Our culture it spans generations, right? So we wanted to represent that in the best way possible by being our true selves, because our culture is continued and expressed through us. What do we want to do? What do we see the need for in our communities right now? People standing up, people taking charge, people leading the way by example to kind of show how do you move in this world and achieve some measure of success and build something positive. So that's what we were taught all individually through our parents in different ways. And we wanted to continue that lesson out into the world, and we wanted something to stand behind. So our culture is what we represent. Our culture is what protects us. And if you look at our logo, you'll see it's the Zulu shield. Typically a Zulu shield has a mace and a spear behind it. And it's this idea of like, what are you defending? What are you protecting? What are you supporting? What holds you up? And from that, it just came, our culture was the next logical step. And it means different things to all of us, but I think we can all agree that there's a significance to it that needs to be celebrated and represented.
And recognized.
Yeah.
I think my perspective, which I share with Isaac and Isaiah growing up and knowing one another for roughly over 22 years, is the simple fact that we didn't have that knowledge of craft beer growing up. Growing up in a rough neighborhood, and then moving out to the country, I was able to discover Isaac in the 3rd grade.
The nearest place where I grew up in Griffin, Georgia, was a liquor store. And then roughly in between that liquor store, 2-mile radius, was 2 gas stations and another liquor store. I didn't have that level of exposure of craft beer. The stores that were close to where I was residing didn't have that knowledge. And we all know that when it comes to value and healthier, better quality products comes increasing price. For our culture, I wanted something that would exemplify what we've learned and what we've recognized, where we've toured over the years, what we've witnessed, what we've tasted, because we knew we could do better. We knew we could create something that was synonymous with what we wanted in our palates, or what we wanted to taste. And I think that's a representation of our culture, to really understand that there are things that we can do to bring quality into what we're consuming.
And bring that to the community.
Yeah.
Bring that to our communities.
Absolutely. I think y'all both touched on good points, that it's about representation and community for me, in the sense that you don't see a lot of people that look like us reflected in the beer industry. And like 1% of breweries are owned by Black people and minorities, and the same number exists for Black brewers in the industry as well. So I think it's really important to see that there are role models and to bring more of our people in this industry and introduce them to really great beer that goes beyond what you see on the shelf at your local grocery store.
And to that point, I want to make sure that we understand the craft beer industry is one of the very few industries in the world where diversity is championed and welcomed and goes out of its way to try to express those things. So I don't think that there's opposition to these ideals. I just think it's about timing, access to funding, interest in the art of craft beer on the production side, and things like that that I think aren't typically exposed to at that level in our communities.
I think in some aspects, yes, in some aspects, no. There have been a lot of awesome brewers in the past that have been around that have exposed their community and have been met with a lot of resistance. Like Garrett Oliver has been brewing at Brooklyn
OG.
Brewery for a
Yeah.
really long time.
OG, the oldest man in the world.
Yeah, and then there's another craft beer, black woman at Harlem Brewing Company, and they've been in this industry 20 plus years, and
Yeah.
they've been met with a lot of resistance, and they're only getting
Sure.
that kind of recognition to this level now that more of us are being.
Cheers to that, and then like Kevin out at Eric, but Kevin out at Union Craft Brewing Man. So these are all the shoulders
that we stand on, right? These are all the people that we look to as sources of inspiration that really help us understand how to move in this industry. And so I feel like great examples like that, with the support of our local community, with the support of the industry, allows us to have an easier go at trying to do what we're trying to do.
Yo, shout out to Eric Nine and his logo, bro.
Yeah, behind us, yeah. So this man, he designed our logo after
Yeah.
much back and forth. He's an excellent local artist. That speaks to one of the pillars of our core values about collaboration. And behind us, we're sitting in front of this breathtakingly beautiful mural. And it really takes a village, a tribe to be able to bring everything
Together, and without his artistry and collaboration, we wouldn't have been able to so beautifully and masterfully express the physical representation of our company. So hats off to that man as well.
Yeah, also shout out to Mike Potter and Fresh Fest Beer Fest, because that's
Yeah.
where we launched our
Yes.
social media
Yep.
and our platform,
Yeah.
talking about the origin story.
And where we
of
met
our
a lot
company.
of the people that we still connect with today off of that. So again, we stand on the shoulders of giants, man. I think the responsibility of us watching the people before us go is to continue to support them, but then also understand that they've given you an opportunity, don't waste it. So, now that we have this Black Brew Festival that occurs yearly, the first of its kind, and it coming up on its third year, we not only do we have to participate and support, like, we have to make sure that that thing is protected, because from this is going to spring many new interests from our community, not just particularly in our community, but all over the world. All communities are going to now see, that it's possible to engage in this industry on this level.
What helps you get to where you are now, and what advice would you give people that are in this industry that are coming up?
Research. Research is probably the most important thing you can do before diving into this, because it's not like picking up any other kind of a hobby. There's a lot of upfront costs. There's classes, there's books, there's everything you need to know about how the process works. So before you hop into all that, I recommend a ton of research. And then start out small, build your setup from whatever parts you can find, and make it work for you. It's a very individualized like that. Like, we all have different condom systems. None of ours is the same. Yet we're still able to produce quality beer. So the one thing that I would recommend is that you research. And then be careful of your pocket. It's easy to overthrow your goal, your financial goal, right? You want to keep your pocket small. Buy what you can, brew what you can, but brew often. Try to do it at least once a month, once every 2 months, just to keep your skills sharp. And also, I can't understate that the importance of entering contests. You want your beer judged by a panel of actual brewers, actual judges, people who have a career in tasting beer and judging beer. It's good to have that kind of level of quality feedback than just giving it to the next door neighbor.
Yeah, so to echo that, this industry is wide and it's deep and it's broad. Not everybody who's a part of it wants to be a brewer. Not everybody who's part of it wants to manage a tap room. But I would say, to Isaac's point, in order to really, I think, get the most out of it, just increase your knowledge, man. There's tons of information out there where you can understand the science behind what you're tasting, or what the hops are supposed to smell like, and what the grain is supposed to smell like, and what combination of what gets you what. So I'd say, and it's interesting, right? And that's on twofold, so you can be a more educated consumer and really appreciate some of the art that people are really putting out there, because I do believe that craft beer is, to some extent, an art form. And to see people take these varied ingredients and see some of the recipe ideas we have manifest themselves in a glass and taste and smell the way they do, I mean, it feels like magic to me sometimes. But if you're going to be a brewers, particularly, I would say that practice, 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 practice. You gotta brew as much as you can, and don't be afraid to experiment. But I'd say before you get out there and start throwing, marshmallows and South African hops and, all this stuff in a pot, really nail your fundamentals and your basics. And then once you get those fundamentals and basics down, the rest of it that's where the art comes in. So don't be afraid to start small. We started with a pot in a garage doing extract, propane. Super simple, bought like a $300 kit. And over time, we've since progressed beyond that. Start small, master the basics, and have fun. And then watch your craft and your interaction with it grow from there.
Yeah, I definitely think, to Isaiah's point, it's definitely art, and then it's a blend of like art and science. So there's definitely a component there where you have to focus on making sure you have your stuff together when it comes to knowing what you're doing. But I would say just taste a lot of different beers. There's so many different types of beers.
Get your palate up.
Yeah, refine your palate, just drink all of the things that you may not think appeal to you, but just expand your palate, explore, grow, and that will make you a better brewer in return, because you know what you're looking for, you know how a specific style tastes like, what you want to bring to that style, how you want it to vary. Make a beer that works for you after learning what the different palates are and do.
I would say another fundamental thing in regards to anything that you want to achieve, you want to ensure that you have a solution to some kind of problem, and that you have a way to do that that makes things better.
Practice, business plan, funding, and teammates if you got them.
Yeah, I was about to say connect with other people.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have your own team, connect with people at different breweries.
Hit up our culture.
I mean, yeah, any
Yeah.
local brewery, most places will be like, oh yeah, you're brewing beer, bring some by, we'll try it and tell you what we think.
For sure.
What do you hope to bring to this industry?
I want to bring people who don't drink beer into the beer world. There's a lot of different niches out there. Kind of people out there who may not view beer as something that's tasty, and that's understandable. When you first are introduced to beer, it's one of the domestic water types. But there's a lot more stuff out there, and for everyone's palate. So I kind of want to bring something new and fresh and hopefully healthier to the craft brew industry.
Let me back up and say our culture primary focus is producing world-class craft beer. World-class, best of the best, top of the line. That's our goal, right? And second to that, I think just by us existing in the spaces that we do, moving how we move, the added benefit by us being a part of it is that we bring a certain amount of representation. I want people to look at our culture and be like, damn, that beer is good. But also, our culture can do whatever you want to do. If you want to be a juggler, a graffiti artist, a rodeo, a clown, whatever you want to do, you can do that. You are not isolated to any idea that you have, particularly because of your nationality, race, color, or creed. You can do whatever you want to do in this world. And I think the idea is that we want to show people the quality of our passion, and we want to bring our diverse, unique palates to this industry and just put the creativity and all of that into our beer and see what people think. We want to push it forward. We want to push this industry forward and shape it not only from who's doing it, but also what type of beer is out there. And we got some bangers in the line there.
I want to bring a sense of education and community, a feeling of home. People can come and gather around and be in our space and just enjoy themselves and not feel like they're othered. I want people to feel like they know about beer, like people know about wine, and that it's just as diverse, even more diverse than wine, and that people can have fun and enjoy themselves, just at the base level, a space where people can come, relax, play video games, hang out, work out, whatever. relax and be who they are, be authentic.
Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna have to piggyback on top of that one, because for me, it's awareness, individuality, and most importantly, education. I want people to understand what they're consuming, why they're consuming it, what aromas are they getting from our beer, what does it taste like, what do you want your beers to taste like, what does it pair well with, why does it pair well with this particular food, beverage, or dessert. That's what I want to do. I want you all to consume something that goes well, that highlights what you're eating in regards to taste. Let's hit on all the senses. I've met so many people that drink something because their mom or their dad drinks it. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. It's a part of my history. It's a part of my upbringing. So I want to change that. I wasn't taught what goes into a particular beverage. It was cheap, it gets you drunk, and it does what it needs to do. But now I understand the elements that make up the beer and the benefits of having a high quality product brewed. And so I want to do that because I know so many of us, when it comes to diversity, aren't aware. If I can highlight that and educate you all in the same process and then try something new, to experiment, to really form your own opinion regarding a particular beverage, then we've done our job because we've integrated you all into that particular culture. Whether it's various ingredients that represent your upbringing or it's the things that resonate with who we are.
Our culture is an experience.
Cheers.
That's how you close.
Exactly.
All right, final statement, 20 seconds, go.
We have great beer, we have great minds. If we don't have something that you like, we'll make something that you like.
All right, you're next.
That's good. That's good. I would say just keep chasing whatever dreams you have, man. Do whatever you think you want to do in this world. Find your purpose. Forget all the other garbage. And don't forget to always make time to express yourself. There will people out here in the world that support you and that will vibe with that. But you got to be brave enough to put it out there.
Yeah, connect with us. Tell us what flavors you're interested in, how you want to interact with us, all of that jazz. Connect with us on social media, our website. Check us out.
Plug.
Ourculturebrewing.com.
All right,
Yep. Innovate continuously. Do it with us. We are a representation of that in our own individual perspectives, but culminating us together, we're one, and I'll highlight that journey for you all. And you're gonna see that. And you're gonna see us grow. So do that with us.
Yeah.